What's the topic today? Now, before I speak, how many think they have a strong-willed child at home? How many sense? Wow. wow. Parenting a strong-willed child. I don't know what brought you here tonight. Maybe you came because you used to be a strong-willed child, but you're just curious to learn about strong-willed children. Maybe you came because despite following every written script, human and divine, you finally found out that your son, who happens to be a piano player in church, is addicted to pornography, is addicted to hypersexual activity, and now you feel every safe haven you had is already busted. Maybe you're here tonight, even on a more emotive situation. You realize you are an overprotective dad to your teenage daughter because of your own inner insecurities. In your college days or university days, you slept with girls that you cannot even count. And now, the mega thought that there is a man who is getting closer to your daughter sends shivers down your spine. You are terrified at the mere mention that she's going to Naivasha for a night out with her peers, because horrific memories of your wicked night vigils, terrifying memories of your ungodly exploits are rekindled, and you can't stand her going out. As years pass by, you have realized that premarital sex is not only erroneous to the perpetrator, but worse still, it's a serious liability for generations after you. You recognize that you're the father she's supposed to look up to, but at the same time, you cannot give what you do not have. And you cannot relate your youth, so you're in a stalemate. Of course, you could be here tonight because you have a teenage girl who takes you bananas. Among other things, she has tattooed her body like a tree trunk, pierced herself all over like a bullet-ridden wall. She wears torn pants that are shorter than description, and she leaves her top open-ended to the extent of exposing very beautiful physique, gradua, geographic features that make every passing head to spin, and especially the ogling type. But of course, you could be a single mom who came tonight because you're raising a son, an only child. And in the past, you've consoled yourself that women need a man as much as a fish needs a bicycle. But the hands of time and ground reality is now humbling your feminine chauvinism. Or you simply are here tonight because while you've raised your child the best way you know how, no mean charges, you just want to add your notes and scope matters parenting for the sake of seminars or counseling sessions that you conduct. Whatever your motivation tonight, parenting is not for the faint-hearted. Being in the strong-willed children club makes an already very challenging responsibility a very daunting calling. Strong-willed children have such an iron will, and their proclivity to challenge the status quo can be freaking exhausting. Strong-willed children desire to challenge the establishments. They desire to keep testing the boundaries and the limits because they want to gather information about their world and to learn more about themselves. And there's no grace period to shield you from the barrage of questions and arguments from sunrise to sunset. Even before your waking emotions settle, your 10-year-old boy already has launched a 10-minute dissertation on why he should wear the same shirt and pair of shorts to school for the third day in a row again. At whatever parenting stage you're in, your strong-willed child, the intense struggles you have had with him or her has sucked the life out of you. The ability of a strong-willed child to draw the milestone emotions and behaviors out of your life has made you to take a closer look at yourself. You've pondered over and over again wondering, where did I go wrong? Where did I drop the ball? You've read stacks of books, attended various seminars, tried different parenting approaches, including spanking the child to see whether you could drive the sense into his seemingly stalwart brain, but nothing doing. You finally pointed an accusing finger on your spouse, jokingly, for passing on the stubborn gene to that child. But your struggles with your strong-willed child has finally made you know the doors of the church and remember the power of prayer. It has also harbored you now to stop blaming other parents that you regarded weak. They were unable to raise children well. It has also made you recognize matters your child. You are the only expert and authority in raising your own child. You know for sure that your daring child will start at nothing but to explore his world, the vast unknown, and he will not allow anything to stand his way. So during those moments, when you feel like losing it, when you feel so pushed by your spirited and determined offspring, I urge you to look into the future with a smile. One day you'll wake up when all the kids have since gone, and you're going to receive a phone call in the dead silence of the morning from your strong-willed child from one corner of the globe, narrating to you his world exploits, making you one proud mama, one proud daddy. Thank you. And the reason I'm saying this is because research after research shows that strong-willed children are the world changers. They are born leaders. They will dare what no other person will dare. They will go places no one will go. They will try what no other person will try. Often than not, as parents, when we go through struggles with strong-willed children, we lose perspective and begin to focus on our own emotions, our own struggles, at the expense of the child's uniqueness, at the child's future, at the possibilities ahead of that child. Parenting is the central experience in life. It is the greatest source of self-awareness. It is the true fountain of joy and pride. It is the most eternal bond with a partner. But how exactly do we raise our children? For the majority of us, we try either or all or a combination of the following four ways. First, we do what was done to us. We repeat a vicious cycle, recurrent patterns. We do the same things our parents did to us. So if your mom used to lecture you, screaming house top, non-stop, you follow suit. If your father sowed the seeds of life generously in every county and country, to the extent you do not even know all your siblings, you follow the same path. That it has been done for a long time doesn't make it right. You can have a long, wrong experience. What if there is a better way? What if there is a superior way? What if there is a different way of dealing with it? That's the question I want to ask you. Secondly, we raise children based on what we know, parenting intuitively, which then reduces us to mammalian creatures who parent by instincts. But you see, ladies and gentlemen, we are thinking beings. Maturity requires us to exchange notes and to share experiences. As it is written, as iron sharpens iron, so does one man's countenance sharpen another man's countenance. How do we raise our children? Number 3, we allow the world to do it, especially peers, teachers, and the media. For the majority of kids with absent parents, they tend to trust their peers and teachers more than their parents. And children try to process every piece of media without interrogating the authenticity of the information. And a lot of parents prefer kids being in boarding school. They would rather the teacher deals with the child. They have already given up, though they can't admit. How do we raise children? Number 4. We use the same script across board. We raise a child based on how we raise their firstborn, ignoring the child's peculiarity, individuality, and personality. You see, we are a generation that likes copy and paste because it's the easy thing to do. And you see, ladies and gentlemen, the path of least resistance makes men and rivers crooked. We don't like producing original manuscripts. We would rather just copy paste all of them. You see, kids are fundamentally different. They are diametrically different. They have different personalities. Broadly speaking, we have two types of children. We have compliant children and strong-willed children. Compliant children follow the scripts. They follow instructions as given. They don't question authority. Unconsciously, many parents impose their will on compliant children. So it's much easier to destroy their strong will without knowing, and thereby setting them up to a world that is not in their highest interest, and making them over-dependent children. Strong-willed children, on the other hand, will always have their way. When their heart is set to achieve something, their brain struggles to change. It has a difficult time from changing the bearing. Strong-willed children will not just take instructions as given, they will question the why behind it. And there are many parents here, you know that your child will always ask you why. And without proper explanation, at some point they are likely to kick back or to rebel or to question why you're giving orders. Now, I believe with all my heart, for the knowledgeable and discerning parent, it's much easier to raise a strong-willed child than a compliant child. Why? It is easier to deal with someone who is candid and expressive than someone who is closed up. It's easier to know what they are going through. Now, strong-willed children, let's face it, they have a lot of frequent power struggles with their parents. But you see, it takes two to have a power struggle. It takes two to tango. You don't have to attend to every argument you're invited. You don't need to allow your 4-year-old child make you act like a 4-year-old child yourself. But on the flip side of the coin, strong-willed children are a handful of energetic, tenacious, persistent, high-capacity individuals who reform the world, who change the world. So the real question we are supposed to transact tonight is, how do we bring out these fabulous qualities from these children and still expect cooperation from them as they grow up? That's what I want to do with you today. And I want to do that by giving you some key lessons on raising strong-willed children. But these lessons are not just about strong-willed children. These are lessons you can apply in parenting holistically. And the first lesson I'll take you through tonight: what is influencing your child? Lesson number 2, the influence of fathers. Lesson number 3, bring out the best out of your child. Lesson number 4, give children choices. Lesson number 5, children are experiential learners. Lesson number 6, and the last one, you are a custodian to your child. Are you ready to learn? Yes. Lesson number 1, what is influencing your child? And I want us to look at 5 sources of influence to your child. The first source is cartoons. Even before they learn to walk and talk, children below the age of 10 have already been exposed to cartoons. I see kids as young as 2 years and below already glued to cartoons. And some cartoons are very productive. But a lot of cartoons, in the disguise of helping children to know that they can do it on their own, the coded message is rebellion against parents. It's rebellion against instituted authority. They celebrate disobedience and rebellion, and that is setting your children up for failure. How many in this live audience are familiar with a cartoon by the name The Little Mermaid? By a show of hands. Anyone? Wow. Cartoon people here. In The Little Mermaid, Ariel constantly defies her father, but she still remains her daddy's favorite daughter. Despite his stern warnings that she should not relate with humans, she goes ahead and gets married to a human, against every fiber of the father's being. As we are going to discuss shortly later, it's important for kids to learn to make choices, but that does not mean open defiance to parents, especially for children so young. It is setting them up for failure. And some of you who lifted up their hands that you have strong-willed children, the odds are high. You have just exposed this child to rebellious cartoons for so long, and they are trying to tell you what they have heard from the cartoons. I can do it on my own. And you're paying the price. In addition to having uncouth, vulgar language, some cartoons are violent laden. Why should a 10-year-old or less be exposed to violence, or anyone for that matter? Isn't it this the reason why there is so much hostility and violence in your house? We would expect the producers of these cartoons to be mature, responsible adults. You see, the average father does not care about these cartoons. They don't want to study about kid stuff. And I want to let the fathers know that every video game has a certificate for a reason. Now, of course, it might be hard for you to go studying and analyzing all the cartoons on that. But I'll tell you what I think you can do as an action point from this meeting. First, I took the labor, I took the pain of analyzing 10 cartoons for you. And we have some handouts at the info desk. I analyzed 10 cartoons in a very systematic way, showing you the danger every cartoon presents. Most of them are extremely familiar cartoons. If I mention them, you know them very well. But I think what you can do as a parent is this. You can form a social media group, say 20 packs, and then agree as 20 parents, each of you is going to analyze only one cartoon, because you may not have the time to go through all these cartoons, and then share what you think with other parents in the group. Then you, as a team of parents, will be aware what the child is watching, and not only the theme of the cartoon, but even the language used, whether it's palatable with the values you believe in. You shouldn't allow your child to process something you have not censored. The child does not have the capacity to tell what is right or wrong. You see, the brain of a child is like a blank screen. Anyone can scribble whatever they desire. If you do not take a lead stage, someone else will feed them with fatal trash, and you'll have failed in your responsibility as a parent. Many of them, I dare say tonight, are manufactured at the pit of hell. If eyes are the windows to the soul, then I suggest tonight, ears are the gateway to the heart. And we must safeguard not only what we see, but also what we hear, because we can perform in a manner that is inconsistent with those inputs. And if these are the inputs in a child below the age of 10, they become permanent, indelible marks in the future of that child. Who is influencing your child? Number 2, the TV. The TV is a very powerful force. Sets the agenda of a nation like Kenya. In this nation in particular, TV, whether it's an advert or a program or plain news, they advocate violence, extramarital affairs, smoking, alcoholism. You're even ashamed to watch some adverts during news with your child. But the real danger posed by the television is not the behavior the TV promotes, but the behavior the TV prohibits. What does it prohibit? The TV denies that child time to fill in the jigsaw puzzles. to do outdoor activities with real children who teach them PR skills, or to ride a bicycle, or to swim, or to play their football, or even plain resting. The TV denies them a chance to interact with their parents, so you remain strangers under one roof. I don't know what you're going to do in your house, but this is what I've done in my house before the kids were even born, so they didn't need to adjust. There's no TV for my children between Monday and Thursday at all. There's no TV. On Friday, they have 101 options after their homework. On Saturday, they have to go out and play after 10 a.m. And on Sunday is the day out with their parents. And since this is a tradition they have met all along and it's consistent, they never had even a chance to adjust. That was already a tradition set for them. But you can reverse this if you yourself adjust. You can be hooked by that magic box and demand your child not to be addicted by the TV. Don't be a puppet for manipulation from other people's ideas. Interrogate them against timeless values. Don't do things just to look in line with style. Styles run out of styles. Cultures rise and fall. The only thing that is eternal, if you want to remain totally irrelevant, eternally irrelevant, is to hook up with the only thing that is eternal, that doesn't lose value or style or culture, and that's God's word. Who is influencing your child? Number 4. Number 3, thank you. Gadgets. We are living in interesting times. Teenagers and young adults have transitioned from TV to gadgets. They're on the phone and their tablets, chiefly because of social media. A lot of parents will admit, and teachers alike, about their struggles to control the phone from their teenage children. Some have even taken drastic measures of crushing very expensive phones. But I think one of the reasons kids get addicted to phones is because most parents are addicted to phones. They have no control over their phone. So while we are the most connected generation since the beginning of times, we are the most disjointed since time began. So you'll find people under one roof, separated by thousands of miles by a gadget. They do not even know each other. Learn to switch off your phone. It's just a habit you formed. Sit down with your daughter, with your son, and agree over the holiday. This is how we are going to make use of the phone or the internet. You know, for me, we have decided to put internet 24/7 in our house. There is Wi-Fi 100% of the time. How can you do that, Doc? Let me tell you why. Even if I switched off the Wi-Fi from my house, I will not switch off the Wi-Fi from the city of Nairobi. It would be better for you to train them to use the laptop responsibly. So I have a computer room where the kids stay with the computer, and besides the computers, I gave my daughter a laptop. And when I bought her, I called the mother who is together with us here. And then I picked 3 symbols. I put them on the table. I told her, look, I want us to learn something. And this lesson took an hour. I brought my PhD thesis, put it on the table. I brought a report I had done for a corporate organization and one of the DVDs of our meetings here. Then I told Ivy, look, all these things are produced by this laptop. It's my library, it's my office, it's my tool of work. Besides, all the books are published or produced by this desktop. You can make constructive use of the internet you have in the house. So now I want you to sit down and write for me 20 things you can do using your laptop. And she wrote them. And I say with humility, to God be the glory, she has never competed with any child in her class in her computer studies. She says that is not negotiable in terms of her performance in computer studies. And she assists, together with her brother, at that age, with some of the flyers we use here, because we brought a teacher on board to teach them CorelDRAW. So we convert that energy to constructive use for the family. And then we agree, this is the time you can use your laptop or your phone. And of course, they can't use them during school days unless there's a school assignment. And if it's a school assignment, they have no need for closing the computer door. We can get in there and check what they're doing. Who is controlling your child? Number 4, the education system. A morality-based education system packaged in the disguise of sex education is about to be introduced to your child. Proponents of this system want you to believe that they want to teach your child health sex education. The truth is, among other things, they are proposing to teach children about sexual orientation. If you are coming in this Life Club for the first time, I need you to know I don't believe in that. Nobody was born gay. You choose to be gay. Edai Kogdo, the president of Kenya, when he was being carpeted by the media guys, when President Obama was here, and he said on behalf of this nation, because he's the CEO speaking on our behalf, homosexuality is a non-issue in Kenya. And I'll tell you in a moment why he said that. But walk with me if you can. They are teaching your children how to use contraceptives and condoms. But they are not teaching them about the dangers, emotional pains of premarital sex. They are not telling the child that the person who sleeps with you in school does not love you, because love is not self-seeking. Lust is. Love seeks the interest of the other party. They are not telling them that. They are showing them how to make use of condoms and contraceptives. Who said they must engage in premarital sex? At this rate, it's my considered opinion in the next 7 years, they will give them sex toys. Then they will say it's okay to have incest. It's your choice to sleep with your mother. And then it's going to graduate and say it's all right to choose which animal you want to sleep with. Let's legislate bestiality. Some may choose a giraffe and another a little cat. Now, that sounds weird in the year 2017. But the same thing that is being taught in school, if you mentioned it the year 2000, it looked weird. You see, Martin Niemöller said evil prevails in the society when good people do nothing about it. Evil doesn't necessarily prevail because of the evil of the wicked people in the society, but because of the silence of the righteous. Doc, okay, I agree. So what can I do about it? There's something you can do about it, because you are a critical primary stakeholder of what your child is being taught. And those of you who were with us last year will remember I brought a lady who brought a film here on sex education and told us to sign up to stop that bill. I have good news for you. It was stopped. You played a very big role. Yes, I think we have a reason to clap. The signatures we corrected made Parliament to go back to the drawing table. They knew they are coming for our votes. They have to address that question. This was very timely. But it's a luta continua. The battle is not over. It will continue. Don't be a bystander. Don't watch and wait for what others are going to teach your child. And if you're absolutely convinced there's nothing you can do at God 7 about this syllabus, at least then take your child to a school that teaches them the value you subscribe. Don't act helpless. The growth of your child is irreversible. You will not redeem it after they mess it up. I travel a lot, and let me tell you this. In the United States, for example, a lot of good people like you have withdrawn their children from public schools because of the same argument I'm giving you. Who is influencing your child? Number 5 and the last one. Peers. Her colleagues in school, in the compound. A lot of teenagers tend to trust their peers than they trust you. What are you going to do about it? I think there are 2 things I want to suggest about that. First, I discourage anyone here from allowing your children to go for the so-called sleepovers. Let your child stay in your house. If they must do that sleepover, be 100% convinced that that other family subscribes to the same values like you do. And you're also sure about the other visitors who visit there. I've been in this business for so long of speaking to people, and the overwhelming majority of teenagers who spoke to me, they told me their first sex experience was with somebody who was in their house. Usually a close relative or a house girl or a visitor. Because you took your daughter to a home where there are girls, but that home there were other boys coming to visit. But there's something else you can do. You can encourage her friends to come to your house and then watch them closely. Because the character of your child is more or less within a certain variance from the character of her peers. You don't perform in a manner that is inconsistent with the guys you hook up with. She might be hiding a number of things from you that will be revealed by her friends unconsciously if you host them for lunch. So encourage her friends to visit your house so that you can observe and know where to correct. The third thing you can do is to try to form a certain group. You can trick kids into who becomes their friends by creating some circle of family friends. And then you can introduce some common values for these family friends, all within your gated community if you live in one. You can approach the other parents and agree on some systematic values. For example, you can agree holistically. What do you think we can do about the phones? Ask them questions about the TV, about this, about that. And then you realize you can agree as a nested, the music they'll be watching. There is something you can do as an active parent. This takes me to our second lesson tonight, the influence of the fathers. What I'm going to share with you in lesson 2 may be very sensitive to some among us because we have tried to undermine the role of fathers in the society. So the truths I'm going to share with you and some statistics are going to be very disturbing, but stay with me. Truth sets free. You see, in urban setups, like the city of Nairobi, single-parent families are almost 40%. And unless we have an open, candid dialogue in years to come, the traditional families as we know them today will cease. And the new norm will be single-parent families. And we are continually passing on weaker families generation after another because we don't want to interrogate what could be happening in the society. Neither the church, nor the corporate organizations, nor the schools. We are all quiet about this subject. This is one motivation I launched this club. To be one lone voice that will be speaking the truth in Kenya, uncensored. And look this. You see, with those tones are the messenger. We are about correction. We are stiff-necked people who have employed pastors to tell us what our itching ears want to hear. We are a generation that has normalized divorce, and the primary reason would be we engage in uncovenanted sex and quit marriage at the slightest pressure and pain. Slight challenges, a toothache, a headache. Somebody packs his clothes and leaves. We no longer see the institution as a lasting institution. So I invite you to a sober discussion tonight. In retrospect of the society's traits and in introspect of God's standards, which are meant in our interest, our best interest, so that we may pass on to our children's children better values than we are having. I believe the fact that we still have newborn children today is evidence that God has not yet given up on us. In 1884, Richard Dungday realized there were 6 inmates from one family. Intrigued by this phenomenon, he decided to find out where they came from, and he was able to trace them down to the family of a man by the name Max Jukes, born in 1720. Together with his wife, they had 6 girls and 2 boys. After analyzing 1,200 of their descendants, he found out 52.4% of all girls born in that family ended up as prostitutes. 310 of them were paupers and homeless. 300 of them died before the age of 30. 180 were alcoholics, 160 were drug addicts, 150 were incarcerated in prison for an average of 13 years each. 67 of them died of syphilis, then a killer disease, and 7 of them had committed murder. Kids from one family. A family that was in and out of prison on several occasions, in the prison of New York because of disorderly misconduct. And that what became of his generations. During the same span in history, they decided to study the man by the name Jonathan Edwards, born 1703, married to one woman for 31 years until the day he died. They were blessed with 11 children. They found out from this man, then president of Preston University and a famous theologian, 13 of their descendants out of the 1,400 studied ended up as university presidents. 66 of them were university professors and another 66 were physicians. 75 of them either served in the army or in the navy. 85 of them wrote classic books that sold all over the US and Canada. 100 of them were senior attorneys, including 32 US state judges, and 80 of them were senior government officials, including 3 governors, 3 senators, 1 comptroller of the US Treasury, and the 3rd Vice President of the United States, Vice President Aaron Burr, who served as President Thomas Jefferson. Contemporaries, different results. Our father's influence goes to the 4th generation after him. While there is little you can do about your ancestors, there is something you can do about your descendants. The Swiss government commissioned a study just to check the influence of fathers in the society, and this is what they found. If a father and a mother regularly attends church, there's a 33% chance that all children will go to church and 25% chance that the children will not go to church. If, however, the mother alone goes to church regularly and the father never attends church at all, there is a meager 2% chance that all kids will go to church and a 60% chance they will never attend church at all. If the father attends church and the mother does not, there is a 44% chance that the kids will go to church and a 34% chance that they will not go to church. I was intrigued to realize that when a father attends alone, kids are likely to go to church more than when they attend with a wife. I don't want to speculate why. Neither am I suggesting the women should stop going to church. But again, it's interesting to observe that if the father goes to church, there's a 44% possibility, and if the mother goes to church, there's a 2% possibility that they'll end up in church. The Christian faith, or rather Jesus, whom the majority of you profess to be Lord and Savior, entrusted 12 men, all men, to pass on the Christian faith to the next generation. That is not Old Testament thinking. This is as new as the New Covenant. Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, Sikhism, and Judaism, the father is the priest of the family. When it comes to Christian families, it is the mother who leads prayers, suggesting to the children praying is an inferior activity for women. When it comes to the Christian faith, a maximum of 40% males attend church and 60% females attend church. And the 40% who attend church, the majority are dragged by their wives to church. Another study done by the Baptist Press showed that, still on the influence of fathers, revealed that if the mother is the first one in a household to become a Christian, there's a 17% possibility that they will all become Christians, or rather, they will become a Christian family. But if the father is the first one to convert to Christianity, there's a 93% chance that that family will end up becoming a Christian family. Another survey by MSNBC, a secular survey, revealed that when a father is present in the life of a child, they are much more less likely to be involved in premarital sex. And while the mother has an influence, they found out the influence to starve a child's sexual hyperactivity is half that of the fathers. The study further suggested a lot of children incarcerated in prison, those who are depressed, those involved in juvenile delinquency, and those in drugs, majority of them either had a passive or an absent father, or a father who was disinterested, disjointed, or just merely absent. I'm alive to the fact that what I've just shared with you is very disturbing to the single mothers in our midst and to those who will ever listen to this live recording. And for those among you who are already disturbed by what I'm saying, you have a choice to make. One is to throw stones at the messenger today. And another one is to say, suppose what he's saying is the truth. What can I do about it? And I want to congratulate you because a lot of great men and women were raised by single mothers. So something kept me down. And therefore, let me just suggest some 4 things I think the single parents in our midst, the single mothers in our midst can do. If I'm a single mother, I'll do the 4 things. Number 1, I'll be a good role model to my son and to my daughter. Over 10 years ago, I was speaking to boys in a high school. A young man came to me at the end of my presentation in tears. I said, what's going on? I hate every female teacher. Why is that? I come from a single parent family. And every time I go home over the holidays, my mom brings a different man to that house. Single ladies in our midst, believe me, that child is looking up to you as a role model. What can I do as a single mother? Number 2, do not speak ill about men, especially her father. She was not involved in what led to your separation with this man, and she will never know the truth. The only thing she can hear is your version of the story. And by consistently demonizing her father or men in general, you set up your girl to be a single mom and generations after her. You have no business determining that course for that girl. And she does not have the capacity to handle marriage. That's why she's a kid. What should I do as a single mom? Number 3, I'll try to introduce good male role models in the house who will not take advantage of my vulnerable points. They don't have to come to your house. By talking about good role models could imply people you even meet and play together as families. So they meet with your son or your daughter, and you're deliberate about it. You're connecting with this family for them to hear a father's voice. And number 4, I'll commit my kids to God in prayer daily in their hearing. I'll not just play in the closet. I'll like them to hear what I'm asking God to do in their lives and for them. Do not underestimate what their heavenly Father can do in the absence of their earthly father. That said, I ask tonight, where are our fathers? Where did these people go? You'll be judged, any father hearing my voice, for any child you left by the roadside. I challenge you, if you're here today or you're listening to this live recording, go discuss with your wife. Be bold enough. If you need help, ask for help. But discuss it so that you may pick up that child you left somewhere. I tell you the truth. Any single act of mercy or sacrifice or giving you do to church are nonsensical, meaningless, and immaterial in the eyes of God if you cannot take care of your primary responsibility. This is not easy as I'm saying it from this platform. You might need help, but believe me, you would rather deal with the struggle of facing your wife and confessing it, rather than whining and dining elsewhere as your own child suffers. You're carrying a curse. Now, fathers, you're the voice of your daughters. They hear your voice in them. So be gentle and firm. A mother's love has no conditions. She's the soft landing for any child. But let's face it, a father's love is a little bit negotiable. So she goes out of her way because if she gets his approval, her self-confidence soars high, goes up. Regrettably, most fathers commit girls mainly on three things: academic achievement, athletic prowess, and their physical appearance. Nothing wrong with this. But every time you overemphasize on that, the girls runs heaven and earth trying to achieve more in academics or in sporting activities or in physical appearance. When a girl decides to focus on her physical appearance, sometimes they can take drastic measures, including anorexia and bulimia eating disorders. What's that? Anorexia is a situation whereby a girl becomes overly obsessed with her weight. She can stop eating. Now, bulimia goes beyond that, where she can even induce vomiting and other dangers in her body to get the right body shape, of course, after eating. But you know, there's no such a thing as an ugly teenage girl. Every teenage girl, even if her skin is marred with acne, it still glows. She's still gorgeous, even if slightly overweight, slightly underweight. It is magazines and music videos and the male hierarchy that tries to thrust an impossible standard on unassuming teenage girls, and they kill themselves trying to measure up with celeb girls who are just airbrushed. Every girl is good looking. That's the truth. But I charge fathers to concentrate more on intrinsic beauty, inner values. Compliment her more on character. Compliment her more on her ability to be a good listener, her ability to be a team player, her ability to relate well with others, to speak kindly and to be humble. Call the inner beauty out of her, things that no one can steal away from her. Take her for a date so that she learns the difference between lust and love. A lot of men get very uncomfortable when girls begin to mature up. We get very uneasy in their presence. What you don't realize, you're setting her up to fill that gap with her male peers who may not be in her best interest. So don't create that vacuum. Fill those shoes. Remember this. You should be modeling the type of a man she expects to marry. You see, women tend to gravitate towards that which is familiar. So she looks up to you, the way you treat her and her mother, to know what type of a man she should expect someday. You know, fatherhood is the highest manifestation of masculinity. But for most males, this life consists of the search for the lost father, the father who never was. Are you a lost father to someone? But if you're here tonight and you've been searching for your father who forsook you, I need to let you know there is a father who will never leave you nor forsake you all the days of your life. Do you know him? For the last 100 years or so, we've tried to undermine the role of fathers in the family and in the society. We've thrown the baby with the bathwater. We've dismissed the pater with the patriarchy. And everybody is floundering on the role of the father and why they need the males. Why, men, did we drop the ball? I'll explain to you. This was not just about men. It's a societal crisis. You see, we reduced the role of a father to one role, the provider. And if father is only the provider, and today's mother is able to provide, and some of them are able to provide more than the father, then they begin to question, then why do I need a man in my life? So that even if he goes home, he has to look for another role. For example, father the disciplinarian. So you hear the mother saying, wait until my daddy comes. Or he becomes father of the audience. So the child comes from school and the mother says, go tell your daddy what you did today. If the father's role is purely providing, then can I suggest today's father, the overwhelming majority of them are inescapable failures. Disappointments and losers and buffoons because they are not rich and famous. What is disillusioned perspective of fatherhood? The relationship between a father and a son is what will determine whether that boy will grow to be a life-giving figure, or rather he will walk in this life ashamed, recoiled, withdrawn, and pulling back from being exposed as a failure by the money-minded society. It is your responsibility, father, to tell your son that the true measure of fatherhood is his ability to raise his own children irrespective of his standing in the society. It is your responsibility as a father to let the boy know there is not a single moment all the men will be at par financially. It's a battle you'll never win. Am I speaking to someone? See, our kids have chosen to die or die trying. They are ready to do anything, either to rob a bank or to commit suicide, because the standards are too high, set by many fathers who stole from the government or elsewhere. Of course, there are also others who succeeded in the right way. But the success of a father must not be measured on his ability to provide alone. That should only be one parameter. I also did not want to share this point, so let's go to number 3. It was also not interesting for me. Let's go to lesson 3. What was lesson 3, if you can remember? Bring out the best out of your child. Dr. James Dobson did a study on 35,000 parents just to check whether strong-willed children or compliant children who had problem with low self-esteem. And he found out 19% of compliant children dislike themselves, while 43% of strong-willed children disliked themselves. In essence, what he found out was this: strong-willed children have a higher chance of low self-esteem than compliant children. One would have expected reverse findings. And that's the good thing with statistics. My background is statistics. And I'm sure you notice every time we talk here, I like quoting numbers, because numbers don't lie. Now, watch this. The strong-willed child knows she is a difficult child. They have been taught that day in, day out by parents, teachers, and peers alike. So they know they are difficult to get along with. And so they harbor a certain dark fear within them that someday you, their parent, who profess to love them unconditionally, will give up on them. Will you? Our topic tonight is very personal to me. Barely 2 months to my 18th birthday, my father gave up on me. I wasn't a naughty or a mischievous child, both in high school and in the university. I was in the Christian Union leadership, and I have some witnesses in the house today. But we disagreed sharply about the course I wanted to take. I particularly wanted to go into public speaking, and I sensed this calling when I was in Form 2. So when I did my last exams, high school exams, I went out on a speaking engagement in a church, so I went home a day late. And there was such a sharp dispute between my father and I literally walked out from home at 10 p.m. at night, never to return. And I had to figure out what life is all about. Now, let me make a disclaimer here. Like many parents, my father did what he did, not because he hated me. My father did what he did because he desperately loved me. My dad is an academician, he's a lecturer. And he thought what I was doing is going to interfere with my academic progress. He did that in good faith to protect me. Let me hasten to add, many years have since passed since my father and I made up and put our past behind us. And now we look at the past with a good sense of humor. But I want to use it as an example because I don't want you to try this at home. If you try it at home, a number of kids will give up, not just on academics, but even in life. Don't try it at home. But I'm saying this because strong-willed children will either, one, withdraw and recoil, or hit back aggressively, like I did. And if you try to manipulate them financially because you're the provider of the shilling in that house, then I guarantee you when they become financially dependent, you might lose them for good. My suggestion for you when you're dealing with a strong-willed child, they already know there is a price they're going to pay for taking decisions contrary to your advice. But assure them of any single price they're going to pay, your love is not one of them. Your love for them will outweigh, outlast, outlive any single decision they will ever make. You see, God places in your hands raw materials for you to form. You can't change the material form, but you can mold it. The material form is the personality of the child. But you can mold the clay to a certain direction, to a certain future, just like a gardener directs a young tree. So I suggest tonight, be an observant parent, because sometimes some of the weaknesses that teachers and parents point are amazing talents and gifts that the child possesses. Some children are gifted with numbers. They can calculate offhand, they can remember numbers in an amazing way and degree. I had a teacher in my first year who was teaching us statistics. His name is Marley Humphreys. How many here tonight know the teacher by the name Marley Humphreys? Anyone? One hand? I'm sure there are many others. 2 hands, 3 hands. Marley Humphreys, many years after I left the university, addresses me to date with my admission number. He knows all the students he taught with their admission numbers. You can confirm. Now, they teach together. Professor Beria is the dean, the School of Human Resources, and she can confirm. He taught me statistics. Now, don't tell me he did that because he was teaching statistics. I was taught by many people in statistics. That's a gift. You agree with me? Some children are gifted with memory. They can remember things. You get shocked. You did something 10 years ago and they have the memory of a woman. And this type of children can do well in medicine because you don't want someone who can forget some medical equipment in your womb after operation. And they can do well as lawyers who can remember cases after cases offhand. Some children who are gifted in numbers can do accounts of, they can do actuarial science, or they can do statistics, or they can do finance. Some children are gifted in sports, and that could be where their career is. Others are gifted in music, a very huge industry. Identify and begin investing in musical instruments and musical classes. Some kids are gifted in maps, and they like checking the atlas every moment, and they might be doing navigation someday, or piloting, or become a captain in the high seas. Some children are just gifted in listening. They can listen and listen and listen, and these could be good counselors in the future. Others are gifted in just sitting down. They can sit the whole day. And these are good people at the call centers. You know, there are some careers they just require you to sit the whole day. But some other children like traveling all the time. They can't stay anywhere at any given moment. And they should pursue careers in tourism. They need to be on the move. They can join tours and travels. There are some children who make noise throughout, from the time they wake up to the time they sleep. And they can make very good people as cheering squad. Or they can join parliament. But others don't just speak, they like criticizing throughout. And you should encourage them to join opposition politics. There are other children who just like fighting. And there's a nice career as a bouncer. Or they can join wrestling. The other kids who like tasting things in the house, in the fridge, tasting things, tasting. They can become good tasters. They are needed in the coffee industry and the tea industry. They can even become mixologists. There are some children who just like flowers. They pick flowers everywhere. And they can either become floriculturists besides being romantic in their marriages. There are kids who like drama and theatrics, and that's a huge industry, isn't it? Yes. You agree with me? Yes. There are some kids who like working with their own hands. Hands manipulation, and these are good engineers. If you don't like working with your own hands, that would be a boring career. There are some children who just like drawing, and they can do fine art or architecture or art and design. There are some kids who climb chairs, they climb bears, they climb everywhere, and they can be very helpful to Kenya Power in putting up posts, isn't it? Or they can become mountaineers like Sir Edmund Hillary, or tightrope artists like Carl Wallenda. That's a very interesting gift, climbing everywhere. Almost anything you mention, there are kids who are just passionate with other children. They just love other kids. And there are many careers along that line, especially pediatrics in medical world, or they can become teachers. There are a lot of you, if you're given children for 5 minutes, you'll be admitted somewhere. Does that make sense? We have different interests. And I'm suggesting, please try to observe what your child likes and nurture it. Nurture it. Not everybody will fit in blue-collar jobs or white-collar jobs. Some are just good in creating humor, and they can join Churchill as comedians. There are some kids who just like cutting clothes in the house throughout, and they are training to be fashion designers. Can we go to lesson number 4? Lesson number 4. Give children a choice. Give children a choice. In His infinite wisdom, God gave us free will to choose what we want. Strong-willed children covet this gift than the rest of us. Try to show them that they have no choice over their body, their clothes, their schoolwork, their life. Because for them, and from their perspective, it's mine. And if you try to snatch what they think is rightfully theirs, they will fight back like a cornered cat. So let me suggest, it is pointless to keep arguing with a child below the age of 7 the color of the toothbrush to buy. Spare your energy for more serious battles ahead. And in fact, even the whole aspect of brushing, rather than telling them you must brush because they don't like the word must, share with them how a smelly mouth can put people off. That's the language they understand. It can make their teeth to decay. They will brush before you tell them. And have a clear to-do list. They like checklist. They want to know what you want me to be doing. They don't want you to keep adding rules anyhow. Between the age of 7 and 10, they are sometimes questioning why they have to sleep earlier than you. They think I'm going to bed, let's all go to bed. And what you need to do as a parent is to outsmart them and share with them the number of hours every single age needs to sleep for them to be productive, not just you, so that they find you objective, because that's what they're looking for. Now, you realize when it is now preteens, the girls are likely to be fond of wearing torn pants. And this will be very controversial, I'm going to tell you. I'll actually suggest to you, allow them to wear that very torn pant to the shop to buy sugar and come back, so that you spare the energy for Sunday morning when you need her to cover a much larger surface area. You know what I'm saying? Because the moment she realizes she has no choice over, according to her body and her dress, she begins to fight back. She wants to feel she's in control. And if you let her rush to the shop and then reason with her that you are dressed the way you dress, then she begins to listen. When she realizes that people judge her after how she dresses, she begins to listen to you. Now, we are in a very cold season here in Kenya. It is very possible you find a child arguing with you that they don't want to carry a jacket on the way out. She's in the house and it's warm, and she wants to show off her thighs. Her body is telling her it's hot in here. She can't imagine how it's freezing cold out there. She can't visualize. So it is okay for you to suggest, let's put the jacket in the car. There is no shame in changing your mind with new information, especially meteorological information. It's okay. New data, new information can make you change your mind. But don't argue. Comes to their subjects when they're selecting. Don't fix the subject they're going to do. My daughter was selecting their subjects. They're now going to year 9 in September. She's in the AG system. We already knew what we wanted her to do, but we allowed her to take, and we reasoned with her. We arrived at the same conclusion, but she believes with all her heart she chose. And that's how it works. And let me tell you why. If you try to force those subjects, if you try to live your dream career through her, because there's a course you wanted to pursue and you didn't qualify, and now she's the victim of the goals you missed, what is going to happen, number one, she's likely to struggle in her university studies. But even if she completes her studies, she's likely to be in a career she's not excited about. Why should you do that? What you should do as a parent is to discuss why people choose certain careers. For example, one reason is our own performance. Our performances do not cheat. If you've been getting a D in maths and you choose finance, you're likely to struggle the rest of your career life. The second thing we check is the market. What is available in our current market? Number 3, we check the market trends. If I focus 5 years from now, what are the trends? Number 4, the resources at home. They can't be ignored. She may want to do piloting, but you don't have 3 million to fly her to South Africa. And you need to be very open and transparent. She's in high school. She should understand the resources at home. Number 5, and the most important, her passions and interests, because only then will she pursue something without struggle. Share such things, but don't coerce a career direction. Just guide. Even matters sexuality. The moment you tell a boy, no girls in this house, or you tell your daughter, I don't want any boy here, then I guarantee you, there are other boys outside your house. And that's not the only place where they can sleep. But the moment you let her know that once you sleep with that boy, you already introduce him to adultery and tell him it's all right to be involved in affairs. Even if you get married, he will still be involved in affairs. When you begin to reason with her, go beyond what the teachers have done. Most teachers just tell them the dangers. And I'm telling you as a parent, share with them the benefits of waiting. When they learn that, then they become cooperative and they support you. Don't even force them about who they are going to marry. Many people around the world force children about which religion. That's number 1. Number 2, what race? And number 3, what tribe? Number 4, what education level? And number 5, can I see his bank statements? And then we can discuss about marriage. You know, from a biblical perspective, you should never coerce religion. God puts choices before us and the consequences of those choices. Let me give a suggestion to the men in our midst. Are there fathers in our midst?
Yes.
I want to speak to the fathers now. I suggest this to every father. When your daughter is willing to get out of your cage to the free world, take her out for a mini date. Look at her eye and tell her words like this. I don't care whether that man puts elbows on the dining table or whether he doesn't know how to use a fork and knives. As long as when you're dining, he fixates his eyes on you and cannot stop staring at you. I don't care whether he can't play a bit of golf with me, as long as he can play with the children you're going to give him and become a good priest and role model to those children. I don't care that he cannot follow his wallet, as long as he can follow his heart, and it will always lead him back to you. I don't care whether he is 6 feet pack strong, As long as he's going to allow you to bring out the strength in your heart. I don't even care the color of his skin. As long as he's going to paint the canvas of your lives with the brushstrokes of love and patience and kindness and integrity and tenderness. I don't even care who he's going to vote for in this election. As long as every single morning he will wake up and elect you into a place of honor in your house and a place of reverence in your heart. I don't even care the church which he attends, so long as he loves the Lord Jesus and recognizes every moment spent with you is sacred. At the end of the day, my daughter, if you stab or close such a man, if there is no other thing in common between me and him, I want you to know we still have the most important thing between us, you. You see, ladies and gentlemen, the overwhelming majority of men out there see your daughter as a beautiful face and a beautiful body to sleep with. That is why only you can call the inner beauty out of her, not other definitions given by a carnal world. Lesson number 5. Are we learning something? Children are experiential learners. Let me say to you all, children are experiential learners. They learn not to touch the stove by observing. So give them occasional leeways to experiment unless you honestly believe they're exposed to real danger. The natural thing with children, they will climb on chairs, they will climb on rooftop, they will jump on your bed like a bouncy castle. They will paint all the walls and change the colors of your house, the color of your seats. Some of them will even tear the seats with knives. They will pick the kitchen knife and try to cut the orange the way they see the mother do it. They will try to make fire. They will try to burn papers with a magnifying lens. They will try to steal the bicycle and go to school on a risky road when you are not seeing. They will jump into the swimming pool when you are away. And as they grow up and become bigger, when you think they are innocent boys, they will drive your car and nobody knows that they are drivers except their peers. They will try to play cassettes when you are away, anything. You see, some of you listening to me here, in them days, you used to compete fairly with monkeys climbing trees, but you cannot allow a child to climb a chair. Some of you listening to me here tonight, in them days, you used to swim faster than a crocodile in the river, but you can't allow your child in a safe kid pool to get in there. Some of you listening to me here tonight, you burn fingers trying to fix githeri at home, but you can't allow your 20-year-old to fix his breakfast. They keep yelling no. You see, IUSLA research revealed that the average 1-year-old hears 400 times a day no, or you can't, or don't do it, which translates to 146,000 times a year. No, 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 no. Now let me educate you. Something that most of you do not know. The human brain does not have the capacity to process negative commands. For example, if you tell a child, don't spill the milk, because you want the milk to get from kitchen to the dining table, but you tell the child, don't spill the milk. For the brain to process that command, the child has to think about spilling the milk. And we tend to get what we focus on. And so the milk is spilled, followed by a loud voice, I told you not to spill the milk. So if you do not want them to spill the milk, do not even mention it. Tell them, carry the milk to the dining table. Then they focus on carrying the milk. You see, kids are used to seeing red lights, stop signs everywhere. Don't go, don't do, don't touch. The moment it is don't touch wet paint, you want to test how wet is it. You see, prolonged red lights create red districts. How long do you want your child to be at the red lights? This life has enough inevitable stop signs. Don't add more stumbling blocks. Don't add more roadblocks. We already have more than enough. It is time for go signs. In Sense 101 Life Club, we're going to give them the green lights. How is this practical? Let me give you one or two illustrations. You don't want your child to drown in the swimming pool. Rather than engaging in an argument, put on your swimming gear, get in there, and then they learn why we learn swimming from the shallow end. Now, fire is a bad master, and you don't want them to experiment when you're away. Get in the kitchen with them. Put on the fire as they see. Give them a chance to do it with a few mistakes. It's handleable and correctable when you're there. Why wait until they wreck your car? Take them to a driving school. Teach them to drive. It's safer for you, for them, and for the car. Does that make sense? Yes. You see, experiential learning is not a new concept. Life is a cycle. Before the formal classrooms that we have today, children watch their parents craft tools from flint, weave baskets from reeds. And experiential learning is now gaining a resurgence among educators and teachers alike. It is what we have adopted here in Sense 101 Life Club. It is the concept of learning through experience. Put it otherwise, acting and reflecting on what you've already acted is what is known as experiential learning. We learn best by observing. So rather than becoming a cheapskate in your house and telling children endlessly to use the tissue paper sparingly as though there's another thing the tissue paper can do, take her to where you work and let them appreciate it is hard-earned money. Expose them to what you do. Let them pay a price. What I'm telling you, we do it at home. My daughter has been involved with her mother going door-to-door marketing for our beauty shops. As I told you, some of the flyers you receive here, they're the ones who drew. And we make sure we pay them the same way we would have paid another designer. Then they begin feeling the impact of earning and upping the game, getting a nice skill and mastering the skill rather than wasting time on the laptop. And the Asian community in Kenya is very fond of doing that. Either in construction, they take their little children to the workshop. They play around the workshop. They begin seeing the tools. They begin listening to the father make a phone call to a client. You see, it's very hard to visualize what you can't see. It's very hard to imagine what you cannot see. Parents are the primary and first influence and strongest influence on their children. Learning by example is not the main means of influencing a child. It is the only means. Every single day you live, you are handing over life scripts to your child, which in all likelihood will be acted for the rest of their lives. So do not be bothered that your child is not a good listener. Be very concerned that they are watching your every move. They are talented in observing. Children keep on observing your every move. You see, last March, Mercy and I were invited, and I was speaking in Abadea's country club. So we went there, we were putting up there. One particular afternoon, we decided to take a walk in the conservancy. There was a nice tour guide. And this is not a drive, this is a walk in the national park. We asked him, do you have any animals? Which animals do you have in the conservancy? He said we have giraffes, zebras, different antelopes, warthogs. Then we asked him, do you have any cat in this national park? Well, we have some 2 leopards that are normally near that bush. And you want us to walk? Oh yes, I've done this severally, just follow me. So 1 step, 2 step, 3 step. And we ended up walking. She was using her phone and she checked approximately 14,000 steps. Took quite some time. And in fact, the guy was so daring, he was telling us, look, the giraffes have just left. Look, let's follow. And remember last year, I think they hit someone dead. And then, and we are following them. But what surprised me is not what the tour guide was doing. What surprised me is my Mercy, who fears chameleon, was smiling all through. She did not fear those big animals. Let me ask you. Suppose the tour guide told us, you guys, this is the path, walk. After 10 steps, be careful. There are some leopards there. Do you think we would have taken the walk? No. The only reason we had this confidence, the guy told us he has been doing this for a long time. It's called a nature walk. Don't worry, we're going to do it. Regrettably, most parents are not tour guides. They are travel agents, pointing places they have never been. They are telling children, go there. They have never been to Malaysia, but they are booking your flight to Malaysia. You see, you say what you know. You preach what you know. But at the end of the day, you reproduce yourself. You produce your type. You produce your kind. Every single religion, and I like studying religion, they pointed us to places of righteousness, which was a good thing. Jesus never once pointed us to a place of righteousness. He never pointed us to a holy temple or to a new set of laws. He pointed us to himself. The only leader who pointed us to himself. And that is why the writer of Hebrews says, looking unto Jesus, the author and the finisher of our faith. He's our role model. And one of his early apostles by the name Paul told his spiritual son Timothy, follow me as I follow Christ. Whatever things you've seen me do and say. In other words, I've lived such a life that I'm suggesting you can copy what I'm doing. I'm confident that I've set an example for you to set to others. This is the concept of mentorship. At the end of this meeting, don't tell them what I told you. Show them what I told you. As a parent, you should not be busy telling children what to do. You should be busy showing them what to do. In that city called Antioch, they never called themselves Christians. The city dwellers observed their mannerisms, their behaviors, their language, and they said, they talk like Christ. They walk like Christ. They relate like Christ. They are like Christ. They are Christ-like. They are Christians. That's where the term comes from. In the words of General Douglas MacArthur, perhaps one of the most popular generals in U.S. military history, a good general does not push his soldiers from behind. He leads them from in front. Some parishioners mentioned St. Francis of Assisi had asked him, preacher, how should we preach? He replied, preach all the time. If necessary, use words. You shouldn't be telling your child what to do. You should be leading them in what to do. They look up to you to know how to behave and how to speak. We can predict the behavior of a parent by just observing their children. I have 2 kids. And if they come here and you talk to them for 5 good minutes, you'll come to this conclusion. You are having a conversation with 2 little Tonya Jews. Let's go on. Number 6. Lesson number 6 and the last one. Are you there? Are you with me? Yes. You are a custodian to your child. You are a custodian to your child. We will continue advocating for deliberate, intentional parenting. But at the end of the day, the bottom line is God's grace. Don't play God. Pray God. You're just a mom. Don't kill that child in the name of fearless parenting. You're just a dad. A custodian of God's heritage. A guardian. A trusted steward. There are many times kids will do things you did not expect, which is not necessarily your fault. Teenage girls in particular We sometimes feel they are too short or too tall, too thin or too fat, too ugly, too something, and it's not necessarily anything you can do about it. See, there is a biological imperative that suggests to teenagers they are not attractive enough. Even when any single research shows the contrary, they are all good looking. This doesn't necessarily mean that you did not model, as a mother, good body image. They too have a personal responsibility on the outcome. The emphasis I'm trying to make here is this: you've got to do your very best and then surrender the rest to God. Don't kill yourself about what you did or did not if you followed the scripts. That said, admittedly, there are moments you're going to observe anomalous teenage behavior, extreme, belligerent behavior that are not normal in your child. I read a story, a true story of a young man who had frequent emotional outbursts. On his way to college, he looked at the father and said, "I hate you and I hope never to see you again." Later on the semester, a school counselor who was assigned to new students called the father and said, "Your son has been diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome." As the father familiarized himself with that condition, he realized that it was consistent with the behavior that the son and the symptoms he had depicted all along. The father cried because had he known all along that the boy was suffering from physical and emotional imbalances, he wouldn't have consistently punished him had he did so. And he was wondering whether the heavily damaged relationship would ever recover again. Teenagers suffering from Asperger's syndrome frequently overdose in hormones and adrenaline, which in net effect lead to emotional imbalances. Of course, there's a question in your heart right now. Doc, then, how do I draw the line between a child with Asperger's syndrome and a child who is just misbehaving? Well, I'll tell you today, be an observant parent. Be there for them. And if you notice what he is doing, what she is doing, is not consistent with other teenagers, her peers, her classmates, they also complain about him or her, I strongly recommend look for professional advice. Go for a clinical psychological counselor. It will save both of you pain. If nonetheless, you realize that the behavior of your daughter is within the bounds of normal teen behavior, then I'll recommend the following 5-step procedure to remedy that behavior. Number 1, clarify what you want out of your child. Be clear with the outcomes. What are you looking for? Be very specific with what you're looking for. For example, you may say, I as a parent, I want my child to speak nicely to others, not rudely, even if she disagrees with what others have said or done. That's what I want to achieve. Step number 2. Describe the character gap to your daughter. And you're doing this in the light of what you expect of her, and be very specific. Let me give you an illustration. You may look at your girl and say, during dinner tonight, when we were discussing the bathing schedule, you said I did not know what I was doing and I was so lame. Wednesday last week, you called your brother a moron and that you're not going to be attending the Saturday game he likes, soccer, and he was the worst one on his team. I'm seeing a certain pattern with your language and your choice of words. You're describing the character gap in very specific ways. Step number 3. Create a safe environment to dialogue with your daughter. Ask leading questions, what I call diagnostic questions. And be specific with your questions. For example, why are you saying such things? Why are you choosing such words? In the example I gave you, words like lame, moron, you're the worst in your team. Why are you choosing such words? Step number 4. clarify the consequences of such conduct. Now, you've got to be specific. Let me use the same illustration. If you say, I don't know what I'm doing, or I'm lame, like you said earlier tonight, you're going to lose your phone privileges for the next 7 days. That also applies when you tell your brother he's a moron and that he's the worst one on his team and that his favorite game is a boring soccer game. And not only him, but anyone else or any other rude word that you use. Step number 5, set an evaluation time frame. Set an evaluation time frame. And my suggestion is this. Initially agree on 24-hour schedule. Say that if you have told her that 9 o'clock tonight, let her know you're going to review the same tomorrow 9 o'clock. And then you're going to review after 7 days. During that observation period, commend her, congratulate her, if you can even reward her if she did the right thing. If by any means during the observation period she threw one rude remark, ensure you implement the consequences you had told her to the letter. You see, the reason children don't take you seriously is because you don't take yourself seriously. Fire takes itself seriously. Fire has no emotions. So children learn not to touch fire because they realize it doesn't care whether you are 6 months old or 60 years old. Fire has absolute integrity. Fire burns all the time. So children learn, don't touch the fire. There's no time it's smiling. To burn you all the time. So you must be that predicted by a child. But of course, there's a bigger question today. At what point did you realize that your child has Asperger's syndrome or anomalous teenage behavior? Where were you all along? That's the real question. A study that was done by Dr. Bowden Blake and Dr. Jennifer Says on 527 teenagers admitted in Cincinnati Children's Hospital in Ohio. And they're trying to find out whether there were some lifestyles, family lifestyles, that may have contributed to the mental health these kids were suffering from. They found out that children whose parents ate 3 dinners a week or less are more likely to be involved in crime or drugs or depression, or even juvenile crime behaviors. Children who ate dinner with their parents consistently and boarded 5 times or more per week were less likely to suffer from behavioral problems, school problems, depression, or drugs. It's all about the parents' presence. What sacrifice are you making in the life of your child? This coming Tuesday, the 8th, we'll be voting in the morning. And in the evening at 10 o'clock, we'll be flying to the UK with Mercy, and we'll be flying with our own 2 children. They are not invited. I'm the only one invited to speak. What sacrifices do you make on behalf of your child? Yesterday, I would have preferred to be reading and revising my notes for what I'm sharing with you today, but regrettably, quote unquote, it was a prize giving day for my daughter, and I had a choice to make. And believe me, we were there at 8 a.m. and we left way past 2:30 in the afternoon. What sacrifices are you making on behalf of your child? I'll finish tonight by giving you the story of James. I was in high school and I wanted to go for dinner, James writes, when my mom said I'm not going to go out for dance with my own colleagues. I defied her. And I said, if you don't want to release me, well, that's bad enough for you. I'm going anyhow. I left the scene in a half, went to my bedroom. The next thing I remember, my mom gave a phone call to my dad who was out of town. And she simply said, I need you. My father cancelled a 4-year speaking engagement and drove home straight away. And what happened the next couple of weeks sent shivers down my toes. My father put our house on for sale immediately. And the next thing I knew, all my property, all our things were on the train, headed 700 kilometers south to Texas, Rio Grande Valley. In my last 2 years of high school, I had to make new friends. I went fishing and hunting with my father, forming a long-term bond between son and father. I got new associations, godly associations, and I began recovering the relationship that was fading away between my mom and I. Many years later, I realized the price my parents had to pay professionally and personally to rescue me. My father had to take a pastoral assignment in a smaller church, get a smaller salary for my sake. The James I'm talking about is the author of the classic bestsellers, Raising Up Boys, Raising Up Girls, Preparing for Adolescence, Dare to Discipline, Tough Love, When God Doesn't Make Sense, and many more. He is that Dr. James Dobson, the most respected and celebrated teacher and speaker on parenting the world over. If you are keen through my presentation, you must have heard me quote him earlier on. And the father may not have known the price and the investment he made to a very needy world by sacrificing on behalf of his son, James. What sacrifice are you willing to make on behalf of your children? This September, October, I had speaking engagements in the US. We missed many of them, and I asked most of them to reschedule to November when my kids will have closed school. So we'll be flying with them to the US on 6th of November. It's not a very good moment to be in the Northern Hemisphere. It was during the winter. But what sacrifices are you willing to make to be with your child? I do homework with them daily. You can imagine my pride as a father yesterday when my daughter was position 3 and leading in 3 subjects, physics, maths, and computer studies. And we are carrying a lot of medals home. What sacrifice are you willing to make on behalf of your child? Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Happy anniversary, thanks for the one.
Who brings the fire in lemon candle and makes his home. So carry your candle, run to the darkness, seek out the hopeless, confused and torn. Hold out your candle, run to the whole world. Take your candle, go light your world. Take your candle, go light your world. First free and round. See how he's flying to light his own candle. Surround away. See now your sister. She's been running out to still